You know, we're always told there's one simple rule for success: just work hard and get results. But what if that's only half the story? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the modern workplace to explore a really provocative idea: that how you perform your work can matter a whole lot more than the work itself.
So let's start with a question that I bet has crossed your mind. You know that colleague, right? The one who's always the first one in and the last one to leave, just delivering incredible results. And yet, when promotion time rolls around, they get passed over for someone who just seems, well, more polished. Why on earth does this happen so often?
Well, the answer lies in a huge misunderstanding of what the modern workplace really is. See, it's not some perfectly logical machine where only the results matter. It's much more like a theatrical production. Your office isn't just an office, it's a stage. And whether you realize it or not, you are always performing. To really get our heads around this, we need a guide, someone who can show us what's happening behind the scenes. And there is honestly no one better for the job than the sociologist Irving Goffman, who gave us this incredible framework for seeing the world in exactly this way.
Goffman's big idea was something he called dramaturgy. Now, I know, it sounds a little academic, but it's actually super simple. It's the idea that we can look at all our daily interactions, from a massive high-stakes client meeting to just a casual chat by the coffee machine, as if they were scenes in a play.
So, if we're all actors on this corporate stage, what's our main job? Well, Goffman had a name for that too: impression management. It just means that we are all constantly and actively working to guide and control how our colleagues, our bosses, and our clients see us. And this quote from Goffman, it absolutely nails it. He mixes critical distinction. It's not always about actually doing the work. Sometimes it's about successfully projecting the impression that you're doing the work in the right way. In the corporate theater, that appearance can literally become its own reality. Goffman breaks this corporate stage down into two key areas. First, you've got the front stage. This is where the performance actually happens: the conference rooms, the client calls, the formal presentations. This is where we're on. But then there's the backstage. Maybe it's your private office or the break room with a few trusted coworkers, where you can drop the act for a minute and prepare for your next scene. And Goffman points out that because of this, we all have these two totally distinct ways of behaving. Backstage, you might find people dressing more casually, openly complaining about a project, slouching a bit. But the second you step onto that front stage, the performance kicks in. It demands professional attire, a composed demeanor, and public support for whatever the company line is. We all instinctively switch between these two roles every single day. Okay, so if the office is a stage, then who wrote the script? Why do some people just seem to know all their lines perfectly, while other people are struggling to even find their footing? To answer that, we've got to turn to another brilliant sociologist, Pierre Bourdieu. You see, Bourdieu was fascinated by this fundamental puzzle of our social lives. Our world is incredibly orderly, right? We mostly just know how to behave in any given situation without some formal rule book telling us what to do. How is that possible? How do we all know the unwritten rules? His answer is this amazing concept called habitus. Think of it like this: it's the social software that's been installed in us over a lifetime. It's a set of deep, ingrained instincts learned from our entire life experience that shapes how we think, act, and feel about everything. It's basically our personal history becoming our second nature. It's our unwritten script. And this script gets written over many, many years. As you can see here, it starts with what he called inculcation. It's shaped by our family, our friends, our schools. Then it becomes embodied. It gets ingrained right into our minds and bodies. And finally, it guides our actions, making certain ways of speaking, dressing, and just interacting feel completely natural and obvious, while other ways feel totally wrong. And this brings us to a phrase that gets thrown around all the time in the corporate world: cultural fit. Bourdieu's work gives us the perfect key to decode what that term is really, truly about. Bourdieu argued that society doesn't just run on economic capital, money. He said there's another, often hidden currency that's just as important: cultural capital. This is the collection of knowledge, tastes, communication styles, and manners that a particular environment, like a company, really values. And here's the really critical part. Unlike money, you can't just go out and buy this kind of capital overnight. As Bourdieu says, it requires a long personal investment of time. It's something you build up through years and years of exposure and experience, which is why it so often links back to our class and our upbringing. So what does this actually look like in the real world, at the office?
Well, it's things like knowing all the right jargon. It's referencing the right books or vacation spots in a casual chat. It's that natural ease and confidence you see in some people during formal meetings. It's having a powerful network of contacts. These are all forms of cultural capital that can be cashed in for opportunities and promotions. Now, here's the truly crucial piece of the puzzle, how this whole system keeps itself going. Barju called it misrecognition. This is what happens when we see someone's massive store of cultural capital, and we don't see it as an advantage they got from their background. Instead, we see it as proof of their innate talent or their raw intelligence. We mistake the well-rehearsed script for the actor's natural ability.
Okay, so we've looked at the stage with Goffman, and we've examined the script with Bourdieu. Now, this all might sound a little bleak, maybe like the game is rigged, but the point here isn't to get discouraged, it's to get smart. How do we go from being an unknowing actor in this play to becoming the conscious director of our own career?
Well, it starts by recognizing that you essentially have two jobs. The first job is the one you know about, the job of competence. That's about your technical skills, completing your tasks, and getting tangible results. But there's a second job, the job of performance. That's about managing impressions, understanding that unwritten script, and mastering your behavior on the front stage. Real success, so often, lies where those two jobs meet.
So does this all mean you have to be fake to get ahead? No, absolutely not. The solution isn't to abandon your authentic self. The real solution is to develop a superpower, awareness. Just this simple act of knowing that this theater exists and that a performance is always taking place changes the entire game. Because once you understand the dynamics, the stage you're on, the script that people value, and the audience you're playing to, you gain a massive advantage. You can start making conscious choices about how to frame your contributions and which parts of yourself to highlight. You get to direct your own role instead of just reading someone else's lines.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway. The stage of your professional life is set, the audience is watching, and that unwritten script is in play. So the only real question left is the one right here on your screen. Now that you see the stage, what role will you play?